Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're kind of seeing some intriguing Japanese news going on over here when it comes to the PlayStation 5 apparently being a massive failure. Now, it's a little bit of an intriguing thing to go talk about over here because at the end of the day, I don't think the PlayStation 5 has been a failure. I think it's done pretty well, but now people are kind of on this big controversial take saying that they were lying. They're trying to go mislead the actual people buying the consoles, trying to go drive up as much money as they possibly can, and the fact that basically PlayStation is for some odd reason not the #1 console seller at the current moment. Now, I do think there's some actual statistics and facts kind of backing up against this, but I want to go and bring it up because it's kind of just a weird Twitter / overall article drama, so I might as well go talk about it. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow. And of course, let's go and dive on into it. So this is actually going over here from a website, from kabutan.japan on the news itself. Now, this is technically on the translated side too as well, so if there's any small issues with it. But basically, a lot of people are saying that right now that Sony's game business is receding, that there is issues overall in terms of game sales, software sales. The console itself is selling well, maybe, but people are seeing it as a failure. And they're like, let me try to break it down. I'm usually I try to be a good fence sitter in terms of trying to just more so see the perspective of both sides. And I can maybe see some people saying that PlayStation as a whole, thinking of software, could have a few issues in terms of right now, not a lot of big major software things. Xbox itself got all these really big ones with Bethesda, Call of Duty, etc. Some of the bigger exclusive games like Final Fantasy were maybe not necessarily as strong as people were expecting, and like I said, they had a little bit of a weak past few, probably next year or so when it comes to games. Also the big leaks too as well, a lot of kind of various things. If you look for it, you can probably go and find it. But right now, people are kind of saying that right now, some of these companies are rough. Talk about the fact that the Square Enix stock itself has been free falling, which has been kind of true. And as well that they're going to have to completely remove these PlayStation exclusivity deals that they have because of their, not making as much money. And that is a somewhat valid thing. But some people are kind of saying right now that Sony themselves do not, factor in this as a win. So we have over here from Posted Up saying, Hideki Yasuda, the Sony Group may see the PS5 as a failure, and the envisioned goals are unattainable. Once again, though, it's kind of hard to kind of push this narrative because at the end of the day, the PlayStation console itself is a successful console, and it does seem like a huge profit driver for Sony Group as a whole. But if you, maybe get more on the metaphorical side of the overall consumer confidence, in terms of brand new games, especially right now, and kind of losing some of those big third parties, there is at least a little bit of merit. I would probably round up, though, that the PlayStation 5 is doing very well, selling very well, will keep on selling well. The PS5 Pro will do good, and once GTA 6 comes out, both the Xbox and PlayStation will probably have a really big resurgence and bump up when it comes to their games. Saying currently it feels like the Sony Group is more focused on stock prices and profits than on the way they conduct their business, which if you want to go and reach for it, I can maybe see. But at the end of the day, most companies are like that. Even say for Xbox, their goal at the end of the day is to make a consistent long-term profit. PlayStation, same exact boat. Nintendo, same exact boat. And the way they all might individually go and make that happen might be different. Xbox, Game Pass. Nintendo, more focused on family, children games. PlayStation, cinematic, and also, just trying their best to do what they can. So it makes sense, but they are saying right now that the company that makes a good profit is a good company, kind of that same perspective, but they're saying that they don't really know why, how, and what the long-term plan is for PlayStation on the outside perspectives. And I want to hear your thoughts and me kind of yapping about this. In a hearing with the Sony Group, they expressed the view that even if PS5 sales are lower than the PS4, it's not a problem because we're making a profit. Basically trying to say hey, we're going to be making money no matter what. Why does it matter? Personally, they say I was astonished by this response because it suggests the notion as long as there is money there, anything goes. And this is maybe more on the moral / ethical side of, yeah, we could sell you a PS5 right now, but you're going to be playing 2-year-old games. And although we do have games like Astrobot, Lego Horizon, some of the Wolverine games, some of the Venom games potentially, I'm sure other things are cooking in the background, it still kind of goes to show that we do need a little bit more. And it seems like outside perspective groups are noticing this, where they may be getting the most sales on the PlayStation as possible, but everything else, not so much. So the likely background to this view is that Sony Group's envisioned goal of PS5 surpassing the PS4 significantly and overwhelmingly, Xbox is now seen as unattainable. Moreover, rather than pouring unnecessary capital into what can be considered a failed PS5, it would be better to make fundamental improvements with the PS6. Thus, it is reasonable to scale back tactics to a level that won't disappoint investors. As long as there are profits, criticism will be avoided. Now, some of these takes obviously are more on the Japanese side too, and it's weird because they're kind of saying for a lot of these bigger games out there, they should have been doing well, or games like say a Capcom stock or other various stock should be bumping up good. But when it comes to things like not accounting for development costs, or an impact on performance, or all this unachieved sales or whatever. Let's say you make a game, you spend $300 million, and it takes you a very long time, if never, to make that money back. There is some big stuff to say. So, and they're saying over here too, some of the big games too as well, like Rise of the Ronin, or maybe going and just very significantly underperforming what they were expecting on top of that. And maybe they're kind of saying this on these calls. It's kind of like a weird article because it's in Japanese too as well, but they're basically being hey, when it comes to these big companies, things like, say, Monster Hunter, they want to be on multi-plat day one. You want to make sure PC, PS5, Xbox are all available to play their games. Look at Xbox that are trying to make their games basically attainable everywhere. On the Switch, on PlayStation. And that's kind of the big deals is that PlayStation still is kind of being a little bit hard stuck about it. They don't want to always release their games because they know their software is the best selling. And we also have the same issues too with saying live service. Saying like Helldivers 2 is a big hit more on the computer side. And once again, if PlayStation doesn't really know the long-term goal of what they're trying to make, that's where these investors are worried. Because as you guys probably know, most markets are forward-looking. You don't go and necessarily look at a NVIDIA stock or Apple stock or Microsoft stock, and you're hey, this is what it's currently worth as of this second. There is a part to that when it comes to financials, but most of the time you're looking towards, will this company be growing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road? Kind of why once you get into dividend investing, typically the stock doesn't grow as much because they're more so realizing they kind of hit their peak. And they have to go put that money towards how do we maintain people buying our stock, investing in our company, etc. for our overall operating profits. Give it a dividend, how it is. So with all these other big companies out here, like the Capcoms, Square Enix, and all these other various companies that are kind of dropping exclusivity, it kind of goes and brings all these big problems over here. Now, some people are curious too as well, because some people are calling out basically being hey, some people are thinking the PS5 used to be believable, saying the PS5 is on track to become Sony's most successful console ever. But I would still the PlayStation 5 is doing insanely well. It's had over 50 million, getting close to 60 million, if not already past 60 million sales. And at least in terms of the Xbox and PlayStation comparison, I do think the PlayStation will have a lot of a longer longevity. I do think a PS6 seems very likely. PS7 seems very likely. PS5 Pro. While Xbox has been on this weird teeter-tottering of them not really knowing if they want to keep and maintain this up in the first place. So kind of a crazy conversation going on. What are your thoughts? We also had some fun news over here for Elden Ring, which I cannot wait to go play the expansion. But basically they're talking about how there's out school mods of the co-op mods and out this. And we actually had kind of a sign of approval. Or basically From Software is saying we don't mind if you guys go and work in these cool mods. We may even want to steal some of these ideas and integrate them into our future games. And I think a lot of people would like that. I think that seems awesome, and I think that seems really dope. And I do like the idea that some game companies are okay with people testing things out and doing things, because at the end of the day, it does make things better. Now, as I said, PlayStation Plus, bringing back up Stellar Blade. I'm actually be playing a little bit of Stellar Blade on tonight's stream. I'm kind of feeling it. Really fun game. So there's a link down below if you guys want to follow. But basically, they now have their progress and carrying on over, and is also available on the PlayStation Plus. So they also did include Baldur's Gate 3 and Mortal Kombat. So they were kind of slowly expanding out the trial system, which I think is nice. More people, more trials, I think the better. At the end of the day, which is all around kind of good. And also, in case you guys are curious, I always thought that Shin Megami Tensei was basically just Persona. But I still have no idea, I'll be honest. But apparently now all the reviews are coming out as of this second, and people are all down with it. So I'm not sure if that just seems like a metaphor, or they're it's basically just Persona like the game. But this game does not look like Persona 5 to me, I'll be honest with you guys. Maybe it's like little bits and pieces of it. Maybe it's where people get the metaphor for. But either way, apparently all the reviews for it so far have been very good and very solid. So give me your thoughts and comments on everything down below. I appreciate you all very much for watching. We have the Twitter and Twitch as well. If you guys would like to go and follow, and we'll have more videos all throughout the next few days.